And we are live. How we doing, everybody? It's your guy Wardy here, and for the first time in what feels like a calendar month, even though it was really just over a week, the New York Mets find themselves in the win column as they take down the Philadelphia Phillies this evening. A Saturday day game where a lot of the times the New York Mets find themselves rolling over and dying, but not today, as the Mets find themselves now in the win column. They're still, 13 games below 500 at 35-48, so trust me when I say that I'm not coming out here with endlessly. This is the most comfortable Mets win that they had since the last time they had victory, which was against this same Phillies club just over a week ago. I was in attendance for that ball game that we saw last weekend in game one of that three-game series, if I'm not mistaken. Sean Manaea looked good. Juan Soto had a couple of home runs. Carson Bench had a three-hit game, and the rest is history. Since then, the Mets haven't hit a lick, nor have they done anything of significance unless it's a negative. Yesterday, it's Steve Galbs, and having Mr. Met look like an absolute clown around him. Prime example of the circus that is this Mets team today. For the first time in a long time, the Mets got everything cooking. From their offense, to their starting, to their bullpen, they got a perfect combination to find themselves in the win column against a Philadelphia Phillies team this evening that went with their bullpen matchup. They did not have a true starter out there today. They had Miza as the spot starter, and then it was a full bullpen game. The Mets were able to tack on in this one. So in tonight's post-game show, we're going to deep dive all that you need to know. Innings 1 through 9, all the key details and takeaways, along with the latest news regarding key players on the New York Mets. We're going to get into some remarks from Andy Green, Mets interim manager. He has been very blunt and straightforward to the media, as has been the case with his players now, trying to get familiar and trying to get everything comfortable now for the remainder of this season. We're going to get into guys like Mark Vientos, Jorge Polanco, Luis Robert, Clay Holmes, just to name a few, as we have some significant updates on them all. Some good, some bad, just depends on the player. So sit back, relax, and get yourself ready for the ride, which is our latest breakdown on the platform. All I ask is that you guys and gals hit that like and subscribe button on your way, and continue to do what LCT in the chat is doing right now, and that is spamming those damn W's. I greatly appreciate that. I'm going to get to all your comments, questions, and concerns as much as I possibly can in this one, everybody. But as always, spam those W's. That's what your guy Wardy wants to see. Go ahead and let it rip. Listen, the Mets are not winning often this year, so we're going to appreciate it while we can. We're going to get into not just the highlights that you guys see beside me, but we're also going to get into, again, the key details from the pitching today, which is headlined by Christian Scott returning to this Metropolitan rotation. Honestly, looking very sharp. I understand Scott did not go deep today. It's his first start back off the injured list. But as Andy Green stated himself, Scott is the first starter since entering the Mets player development over the past 2 years in the front office that he truly fell in love with. So I'm curious to see how this dynamic is going to go between now Andy, who now is the Mets manager moving forward for this season, and Scott, who he's been so bullish on since the start. We're going to talk a lot on Christian Scott's outing today, as well as AJ Minter getting the win and still having yet to allow a mother effing run this season. AJ Minter, talk about nails, talk about adding to your draft capital. That's what the Mets are going to be doing. Not so much with the draft, I apologize. I'm talking trade assets. I don't know why I said draft capital. Maybe it's because I was just watching the NHL draft for the past 48 hours. That's probably why, okay? Also, if you're a hockey fan, if you're an Islander fan, Ranger fan, Devils fan, whatever you're a fan of, let me know in the live chat in the comments down below if you're satisfied or dissatisfied with your favorite team and how they fared in the draft to this point. Brazo did his thing. Luke Weaver with an absolutely tremendous MLB leading 23 consecutive outings scoring streak. This guy's been an absolute menace. Loving everything about Luke Weaver. He has literally been an absolute man possessed. He has not allowed a single run since literally May 1st, if I'm not mistaken. It was, I believe, the first couple days in May. Absolutely insane. Devin Williams did his job today. We'll talk about that on the hitting end. This is what you got from the New York Mets. This is how the ball game ended. Not necessarily at started with guys like Eric Wagman in there. Obviously, we saw Jared Young get the start at first base, which we have a lot to say about, as Andy Green made to know what the first base position is going to look like moving forward when looking at Jared Young, Mark Vientos, Eric Wagman, and everyone else in between. AJ Ewing, another high-flying, tremendous day at the bat, as well as with the defense for the young outfielder. So a lot of positives to break down this one, everybody. But as we always do, no matter the fact that the New York Mets are still 13 games below 500, no matter the fact that they're pretty much in no man's land to do anything of significance this season, we got to let it rip as we always do. You say with me, everybody, with the one, the only, yes, you guessed it, WardyNYM post-game jingle, baby. Let's let it rip. Let's do this. Shout out to Greg and Jordan, as always, with the official WardyNYM postgame jingle. Greg is your cousin. I love to hear that, Leslie. That makes me happy. Shout out to you. Shout out to Greg. Hope you guys are doing tremendous, everybody. Greg, Jordan, the amazing contributors to our amazing post-game jingle that you guys and gals know well. Whether you love it or hate it, no matter how much you hate the fact that the Mets are still in no man's land, we are always going to do that throughout the course of the season. That's part of what we do here on the platform. And one final thing before we break down your comments, get into this ball game, get into the key news on the status of a lot of these players, let's shout out our amazing sponsor today that you guys can see on the wall behind me and right here. That being our PrizePicks, everybody, because PrizePicks is officially live in the state of New York. So you know that, you know the drill, you know what that means. Go ahead and download the PrizePicks app today. Link down below in the description for the best daily projections and, of course, fantasy in the game for your lineups. Whether you guys want to do something more or less on hits, strikeouts, you name it in the MLB or Metsian space, or if you want to do a World Cup play like I just did over the past couple days with Holland there for Norway, Mbappe for France, doing their thing typically. Whatever you guys want to do in the sports space, PrizePicks has you covered, officially live in the state of New York. So don't wait, don't hesitate. Download the PrizePicks app today and use our promo code HMA to get $50 in laps after you place your first $5 lineup. Again, that is promo code HMA to get $50 in laps after you place your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, it's good to be right. And also shout out to SeatGeek, the official marketplace of the New York Mets, everybody. Go ahead and utilize SeatGeek today, everybody, by using our promo code WARDY10. That is WARDY10 for 10% off your next ticket purchase. Whether that's for the Mets or anything in the entertainment space, there's over 70,000 active events to choose from. There's a couple to choose from, obviously, so go ahead and use it today. Thank you guys so much in advance for that. Link down below. Shout out to the amazing sponsors. Now let's hop right into today's discussion, everybody. Again, hope you guys like the setup. Also want to show you one quick thing here that I meant to show previously on the channel. Dave Kaplitz, if you're in here, I will make sure to get to the P.O. Box early next week. Thank you so much for whatever you sent my way. Also, shout out to our amazing member on the platform. He knows who he is, that being a Malvar. Malvar, who is gracious enough to fly in from literally Florida to come to Wardy Day a couple weeks ago, was even kinder to actually gift me one of the 1986 Mets replica World Series rings that he got from Citi Field earlier this year. And when I tell you this thing is sick, it really is. It has weight to it. A lot of you guys have seen this already. I just want to kind of show you a bit more up close. It's actually really, really cool. It fits like a glove on the pointer, which I love too. But this thing's sick. I actually like, for a replica ring, the fact that this has the amount of weight. Like, just for context, listen to this. You hear it? Like, that's a heavy ring. Really heavy ring. But sick stuff, so I'm going to be rocking it throughout the show today. Shout out to Malvar and shout out each and every one of you hitting that like and subscribe button as you guys and gals chime in. I appreciate that. So Beatty's killing you. I mean, he's just killing it. He's killing himself right now because he's not going to be on the team, obviously, in the next summer of weeks, whether that's him being traded or outright DFA'd. It's going to be one of those two things, barring changes. Nonetheless, everybody, LCT, thank you so much for the continued W spam in the chat. I appreciate that. We can pump the brakes on a little bit now, though. We've done it long enough. Let's go ahead, everybody, and let's deep dive this ball game, and let's shout out who we need to shout out for the Mets on the winning side for the first time in a long time. The lineups today were as follows. The Philadelphia Phillies had Trey Turner in leadoff, Schwartz batting the 2-hole, Harper third, Marsh fourth, Stott fifth, Sosa sixth, Rincon's, I'm probably butchering the last name, Junior in right field, Crawford eighth, and Marchand at catcher, okay? Also, Brandon Marsh has no business being on the heater he has been this season. For a guy that's been in almost DFA territory for the Phillies in the past, I do not appreciate that this man's batting at .318 with almost .860 OPS this year. Can someone please remind Brandon Marsh that he's Brandon Marsh and not someone that is whatever the hell this is right now? I'd greatly appreciate that. Phillies fans, get back to me on that one, please, okay? Nonetheless, everybody, let's get into this. After the rain delay today, which pushed the game initially from, I believe, 4:10 or so to 5:20 today, because, of course, the rain delay on the weekend. We're never allowed to have timely things here. Trey Turner would strike out in the first right away because Christian Scott is pounding that strike zone, baby. And that's why Mets interim manager, Mr. Andy Green, loves him so much. Well, he didn't actually pound the strike zone here, so I'm sounding like a schmuck. I apologize. He started off with a nice sweeper down the pipe. Then he goes back-to-back sweepers down and away. Perfectly tees up Trey Turner, who's swinging everywhere to get on a bite, looking El Mago-esque out there, if you know, you know. And there's one away for Kyle Schwarber, who would then get on with a walk. Then after Harper would be caught out on strikes, beautifully dotted there by Scott, Brandon Marsh then singles because he's been a man possessed this season. And then that does it for the inning as Bryson Stott would fly out to Juan Soto. We head to the bottom of first, where Carson Bench does what he does best, and that's getting on base right away with a knock of his own. Afterwards, we see in the second inning, and thank you guys for those donations. I'll get to them soon. I really appreciate that. Let's see. Oh, I know Andy Green is far more palatable with his interviews already than Mendoza. Not a slight on Mendoza. They just operate differently, and Andy, I think, is obviously more well-spoken and more of a straight shooter. Mendy, a lot of the times, loves to kind of beat around the bush on things, where Andy's kind of telling you exactly how he feels, whether you like it or not, which is a further testament to tell you that, yes, he's going to collaborate with David Stearns and others around him when it comes to his decision-making, but there is still something to be said about the manager and the decisions that they hold that goes beyond maybe what you guys initially think. Like, some of you guys think that Mendy doesn't make any of his decisions, when he most certainly did, and we're going to talk more about that after we break down this ball game here in a second. Nonetheless, in the second inning, 1-2-3, Christian Scott is getting in a groove. Bottom the second, Jared Young called out and strikes, and that does it for Tim Miza. Here comes Alan Rangel, and here comes the New York Mets looking to score. A.J. Ewing with 2 outs, gets on with a knock. Brett Beatty would ground out, but the Mets will get something going soon. However, it would be the Phillies that would get off to the early lead, because after Trey Turner gets on with a 1-out walk, Bryce Harper continues to torment the Mets this season. And why? Because Christian Scott works a valiant 7-pitch at-bat, but he makes a great mistake. You can't, in the 7th pitch of your at-bat, throw a middle meatball. Even if it's 97, that is literally a meatball in today's game. We all know this. Cannot throw that middle. He does that. See ya. 105 off the bat. It's Bryce Harper's 19th home run of the year, and the Phillies are up 2-zip. I thought the game was over at that point, genuinely, just because that's been such the trend with the New York Mets, especially if they're giving up early runs, obviously. We head the bottom of third. We're in the bottom of third. Juan Soto with a 2-out walk. Bo Bichette would strike out swinging as we then head to the fourth. In the fourth, the Phils do a whole lot of nothing. The final full inning of work for Christian Scott. And the Mets do a whole lot of nothing. Setting the stage for the 5th inning. We're in the 5th after we would see a 1-out knock for Rafael Marchand after a Justin Crawford strikeout. Here comes A.J. Minter to get Trey Turner and Kyle Schwarber like it's nobody's business. We headed then the bottom of the 5th, where we would see the final inning there. Not final inning, but continue for A.J. Minter. Works a 1-2. What am I saying here? Jesus. Lock in Tyler. My God. Sorry, everybody. A.J. Ewing would strike out to begin the inning, and the Mets would get a whole lot of nothing. In the 6th inning, we would see Bryce Harper get on with a knock, though, but then thankfully afterwards, we would see Bryce out at second base there to Francisco Lindor to Brett Beatty. After that, we would see a whole lot of nothing as Brandon Marsh thankfully would look human for a change. He would strike out swinging, and then we head to the bottom of the 6th inning. We're in the bottom of the 6th inning. The Mets say, let's tie the ball game, baby. Well, one away, Juan Soto gets on with a knock. Then we see Bo Bichette get on with a knock. The Mets are setting the plate up here for Francisco Lindor. Okay, you got runners at first, runners at second, less than 2 out. What does Francisco Lindor do? He rips himself a double down the line. No, we're talking triple, even better. Francisco Lindor with a game-tying 2-run triple, and the Mets are all even up here as we then head to the bottom of the 7th, the bottom of, oh my goodness gracious, top of the 7th inning. But wait, there's more. The Mets tie the ball game. They say, no, we don't just want to tie the ball game. We want the lead. So after they would get themselves a tied ball game 2-2, Mark Vientos, give credit where credit's due, okay? He actually gets himself on base here, works a walk, kind of a big deal. Marky V's not going to be doing that often, obviously, and we have a lot to say about him after we break down this ball game. And then A.J. Ewing, who I've been loving, you've been loving, we've been locked in on AJ. Andy Green loves AJ because this kid was literally an A-ball last year. Now he's all the way impacting the Mets at the major league level. I'm not shocked by this after seeing the great season he had last year. We followed along with our prospect reports extensively last season. Nonetheless, AJ Ewing, first pitch swing, and it's up the middle. In comes 2 runs, and the Mets find themselves now up 4-2. After the 4-2 lead, the Mets would do nothing more, but not before up by 2 as we head to the 7th. And the 7th, here comes Oscar Brosman, who works around a 1-out walk, or 2-out walk, I should say, for Justin Crawford, as we then head to the bottom of the 7th. Bottom of the 7th, second time of the day, Carson Bench gets on with a leadoff knock of the inning. Juan Soto says, listen, Lindor, listen. First of all, I don't hate Francisco the way that people think I do. I'm speaking as if I'm Juan Soto here. And you know what, Francisco? You inspired me so much today. I'm going to go ahead and rip a triple now. So that's what Soto does. His second triple of the year, that drives in the run, and then now the New York Mets find themselves up 5-2. But wait, there's more. Bo Bichette says, I got to drive you in, Juan. You're at third. There's less than 2. Let's get a sac fly and make it a nice 4-run lead for the Masons here. And that's what he does. And Lindor says, listen. The party doesn't need to stop here. Let me work a walk, and let's try to continue this inning. He would try, but unfortunately, Wagman and Vientos would be out back-to-back to end the inning. Wagman obviously came in there for Jared Young and got the remaining of the time today that we saw at first base for the final couple innings. In the 8th, Luke Weaver comes in, so you know the Phillies ain't doing jack, okay? Luke Weaver, Weave Dog, 23 or so innings or 23 consecutive outings, one of the two. He's literally been a man possessed. Cannot get over what Luke Weaver has been able to do for the Mets this season. Literally so effing good, it's not even funny. And should the Mets be sellers at the deadline the way that they're likely going to be right now, he is one of these guys that's most certainly going to be able to step up and hopefully give the Mets a solid return more than anything else. Okay, let's see. Kyle Schwarber with the strikeout, Harper with the line out, and that does it for 1, 2, 3. And it started with a Trey Turner strikeout. Again, just tremendous work there by Luke Weaver in the 8th inning. The streak is the start of a 20-game winning. I hope so. 20-game heater starts now, guys. Who says no, right? Who says no? As we head to the bottom of the 8th inning, Brett Beatty on with a walk. Carson Menge and Alvey would strike out back-to-back, however, and that would do it there for the inning. As we continue on from there, everybody, we then find ourselves in the 9th inning. We're in the 9th inning. A whole lot of nothing happens. Devin Williams has a Bryson Stott walk. He works around it, though, and the Mets go on to win this one by a final score today of 6-2. Let's get to some of those comments, everybody, and then let's break down more on this ball game, from the pitching to the offense to the latest news regarding key players on the roster, and then we're going to call it a night, because I understand it's Saturday night. Maybe you guys want to do something far more enjoyable than talking about a Mets victory still down 13 games below 500, okay? Don't fall at anyone if they find themselves in that category. I find myself in that category, but the show must go on. We're here to yap about these amazings, shall we? Okay, it begins here. Anthony, great member, 21 months. Great team win. More grit these last 2 games. Absolutely. Anthony with a $5 haul. Thank you, brother. Hope you and your family are doing tremendous. And 52 more wins to have a chance for playoffs. I know it's crazy to say, but got to try to be optimistic a tad. Finally, more grit from the boys. Listen, this was a nice balanced win for the New York Mets. And this was only the 11th game this season that Bo Bichette, Juan Soto, and Francisco Lindor have played together. So these guys can perform the way we know they can. Maybe, just maybe, the Mets could at least make something of this summer, even if they're not really going to make anything of truly making playoffs in the end. Give us some entertaining baseball, for God's sake. Something, please. Nick the Met Fanatic, $2 holla. Green's post-interview is 100 times better than Mendy's. I feel like it's a low bar with Mendy, but yes. Malvar, great member, $2 holla. You are welcome, Wardy, anytime, brother. Thank you so much, my guy. I hope you and your son are doing tremendous. Michael Saya, great member, $22 holla. Mets win equals $10. 6 runs scored equals $12. Season contribution is $461. Thank you so much, Michael. You have been beyond generous all year long. For those that don't know Michael, he's going out of his way to donate no matter if the Mets win or lose and the amount of runs that they score. Nick the Met Fanatic, $2 holla. Soto was locked in during his last at-bat. The stare. It was awesome. It was also nice to see Soto shaking his little ass today. We saw the little Soto shuffle in there, guys. You know, again, if Soto's getting his shuffle, maybe, just maybe, the New York Mets can get some type of groove going this season. Right? Again, I'm not getting ahead of myself. Probably going to get curb stomped tomorrow. Probably going to lose the series, but I'm going to take this victory for the day for whatever it's worth. Right? So as we continue on, everybody, let's talk pitching today, and let's talk Christian Scott. Okay, as we mentioned, Christian Scott went 82 pitches on 4.1 innings of work today. First start back from injury, obviously, so they're kind of slow rolling him a little bit with, like, at least how deep they're going to allow him. Four-seam fastball 45% of the time that we saw from Christian today. He sat 96 on it, which was nice. Topped out north of 99, which you're happy about. Sat 2400 on the spin rate. The cutter, which he threw 20% of the time today, was sitting right around 91. Also right around 2500 in the spin rate. Sweeper, 20% of the time, was sitting right around 83 and was at 2600 on the spin rate. Slider, 11% of the time, sitting right around 83 and was at 2700 on the spin rate. And Splitty, last but not least, thrown just 4 times today, sat 86 and was right around 1,000 on the spin rate. I understand Scott did not go deep today, but I'm encouraged by his first start back. 6 punchies, 2 earned runs, 4.1 innings. I'm going to give Christian Scott, I typically don't go higher than a 5 out of 10 for this short of an outing, but understand the context, and the Mets purposely wind this to be a little bit more of a bullpen game because they like the matchups. I'm going to go 6 out of 10 for Christian Scott. I don't really think Christian has pitched all that bad so far this year. And maybe he's had like 1 or 2 starts I haven't looked the sharpest, but Scott, I love his ability to pound the strike zone for one. I love obviously how deceptive his fastball is because it's a high riser as it gets closer to the plate. So even though he's throwing like 96 to say 99, it could really look like it's more 97, 98 to 100 to these batters at times, you know, especially with him sitting steadily at 96 plus. I like Christian Law as I do Noel McLean, and I think that these are obviously two guys that can be leading the pack for the Mets rotation moving forward, and they actually find a little bit of consistency. Hopefully Scott especially can get a little bit more length, but in due time, I think that's inevitably going to happen. Now, some unfortunate news we saw today is that Zach Thornton, who was dominant for the Mets yesterday, going 6 dominant innings, allowing 1 earned run, 7 strikeouts against these same Phillies, we come to find out that Zach Thornton was sent back down to Syracuse. Now, the only bummer about this is that Zach cannot be called up for a minimum of 10 days, so the Mets are going to go the next turn in his order with someone else unless they put someone on the injured list. Now, could the Mets purposely play this in a way where they do it where they know someone's going to be placed on the injured list over the next 4 or 5 days by the time Thornton's back? It's definitely possible. I'm not saying that it's impossible. Maybe that's exactly why they did it. Otherwise, Zach is going to have his next turn in the order be in Syracuse, which feels like a waste if you ask me. But again, the Mets are doing this purposely, but the Mets have done a lot of things purposely over the season and over the past couple of years that haven't made sense and never made sense in the end, and we called it out from the beginning. So, to be determined as to what's going to happen on the Zach Thornton front, but nonetheless, he'll be back up with this Mets team in due time. He has to. Okay, he put up a start better than anything David Peterson did this entire season, or Sean Manaea for the most part, and he's only pitched, 3 starts at the Major League level thus far? Not too shabby if you ask me. Mets collected pitching today, because because we saw Christian Scott get it 6 out of 10 Mets pitching today, is going to get an absolutely joyous, we're going to go a nice 8 out of 10 for the New York Mets on the pitching day. You could even go 8.5, but I'm just going to go solid 8 out of 10. Love what we got from the Mets pitching. Looked very, very good. Heading-wise for the New York Mets, this is how the ball game ended, not how it started for the Amazons. We saw Carson Bench, another multi-hit game. He's batting .258 with a .716 OPS. Juan Soto, 2 for 3 with 2 runs scored, including the RBI triple. .299 average, .966 OPS. Bo Bichette, 1 for 3 at the hot corner. Looked very good at the hot corner today. Made a play at third base that guys like J.D. Davis, Mark Vientos, Todd Frazier. I mean, Brett could probably make that play, but anyone else really over the past, feels like north of a decade could not make that play at third base the way Bichette casually did for a nice long toss to first base. It's interesting how solid Bo's been at third this year. It makes sense as a less strenuous position than shortstop, but Bo literally went from being the worst shortstop defensively in Major League Baseball over the past couple years to being a proficient third baseman in his first season with the New York Mets. Don't believe me? Check his numbers and outs above average. Check his defensive metrics through Fangraphs. They're there. They're not bad. Surprisingly, they're really not bad. At least what we've seen at this point. Lindor with a 2-run triple. .219 average, .657 OPS. Jared Young, 0 for 2 with a run scored and a walk, a .238 average and a .765 OPS. Eric Wagman came in after him, 0 for 1 with .217 average, .786 OPS. Mark Vientos, DH, over, .214 average, .643 OPS. AJ Ewing, 2 hits, 2 RBIs, .271 average, 7. Guys, AJ Ewing is 50 points away from 800 OPS. Don't you love to see that? I love to see that. How do you not love to see that? AJ Mother effing Ewing is batting .271 with a .750 OPS. You're taking that every single day of the week from this kid. Him and Carson Bench are so alike in a lot of ways, but AJ, I'm loving this kid. I really am. Brett Beatty, 0 for 3, .212 with a .587. Not shocked. Not even disappointed. I expect this. Alvarez, 0 for 4, .250 average, .740 OPS. Alvy's all or nothing with his offense. We know that. But when he's all in, it's fun. Like, when he's all in, he rakes. And when he doesn't, it sucks, obviously. What do you look like? You got no OPS? What is that? What kind of comment's that, Mario? What? I mean, no shit, I look like I have no OPS. You know, if I came up to the plate right now, you know what I would look like? I reference this all the time. And my ass was in the box right now at the Major League level. You know how I would swing at these pitches? Like how David Spade did in bench warmers when he was going up to the plate for the first time, where he literally took the bat and reached his arms completely out and hacked at the ball like this. Hi-ya! Mind you, after the ball's already been in the glove for the catcher 2 pitches in, because that's how long and late my frickin' swing is going to be. I meant AC. Oh, okay. You look like you got no AC. No, everything's fine, actually. It's actually pretty cool in my room right now. We actually got it was a sauna earlier this year, but we figured everything out. I opened some vents on. I got a nice fan from Amazon. We're chilling. Yeah, no, I'm actually not sweating at all. I'm just looking tan because summer Wardy. That's what you're going to get. But yeah, no, that's pretty funny. Wardy, do you think we sell Beatty and Vientos as long as the Mets are sellers at the deadline? Yes, they're going to take whatever they can basically get for them, barring changes. Wardy could hit just as good as Beatty, honestly. I mean, I could definitely pull a Conforto opening series against the Marlins, lean my elbow in, and literally, just get on that way. That's definitely feasible. It's definitely possible. So there is that. I will tell you that much. Nonetheless, everybody, let's hop back to the main slide and let's get into some updates that you guys and gals should know, need to know. So let's go ahead and talk about it, all right? What do I think we can get for Vientos and Beatty? A whole lot of nothing, if I'm being honest with you. Beatty, you can get something. You can, get a fringe prospect for, but, the issue, too, is that, as of now, the Mets are going to be full sellers at the deadline, so it's not even like that they benefit by trying to trade these guys for, rental relievers or something. They literally don't, because the Mets are trying to part with their own rental relievers more than likely right now. But that's my stance on it at the moment. Oh, Jay, I agree. Just because the Mets win today doesn't mean it's convincing anyone they're going to go on a winning streak. That's for them to do and for us to follow, okay? There's nothing more than that. Where's the memorabilia? Nick. Nick's calling me out because I still haven't put up my damn newspapers on my wall. Talk about 2.5 months late. Listen, okay? The Mets haven't shown up this year. It's made me be half-assed with the little things. Everything else has been fine. I've been here nightly. I apologize. You're 100% right. Nick is saying me straight. I told him to remind me, too. He came to Wardy Day. He said, where's the frames? Because I usually have frames, which I'm going to put bam, 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 bam. I'm going to get a little shelf to put more of the bobbleheads. Everything's going to look clean. I'm just being a schmuck. I'm being lazy. There's no defending it. It is what it is. This is how it is. See where I told you about Pujols the other day? Yeah, I mean, Albert would be an interesting pick for the New York Mets. I had no doubt about it. We'll talk more about that, obviously, in the coming days. But yeah, we did a video on Albert yesterday, and we talked about it further in our live stream yesterday. Could be the reason why they aren't winning. Maybe you're right. You know what? Maybe there's some truth to that. I'll take that. All right, guys, let's get into some news regarding the New York Mets. And let's begin with the status of guys like Mark Vientos and their future at the first base position. Let's hear from Mets skipper, not Carlos Mendoza, Andy Green.
What are your plans for him in the future? Is he...
Also, everybody, he's being questioned regarding Jared Young. The volume's a little low. You might just have to make it a little high, and then you'll be good. I know, Jose. I know. I love you, though, Jose. Thank you for being here, nonetheless.
Playing often at first. What are your plans?
Yeah, I'd be a fool to change that one. He'll be out there pretty consistently. There's still opportunities for other players, especially against certain types of left-handed pitching, to get over there at first base and play a little bit. But he's locking down kind of the lion's share of at-bats over there.
What are your plans for him?
Guys, Andy Green's been manager for literally one calendar day, and he already gave us a more straightforward effing answer regarding a position than what we got from Mendoza the majority of the season, okay? He just said verbatim, Jared Young's our guy at first base. There might be, every now and then, Vientos might get a start there, but it's probably going to be Wagman, because Wagman's likely a better defensive option at first base. So that is why Mark Vientos was at the DH position today, everybody. And that's also why you're going to see less of Mark Vientos in the Mets line moving forward, okay? So you guys let me know your thoughts about that in the comments down below. Really, really happy to see Andy Green be a straight shooter like this. And again, performance should trump all. This is a results-oriented business. Yet for the longest time, we've coddled these players. And, we saw a great article that came out from Will Sama today that I implore you guys to check out. And it was featuring quotes from players, basically all doom and gloom and how, no one's picking each other up. No one felt a sense of urgency to want to get into a team meeting after the Mets drop, their sixth or seventh straight ball game. After they got curb stomped in their doubleheader, there wasn't a single player that thought it was the right idea to start a team meeting. Also, there were more players concerned about thinking that they were going to be traded the morning that they found out about Mendoza being fired than anything else. There was one player that was quoted go on to say that when you have a lot of change in a short period of time with veterans coming in, first time in New York, rookies coming in, guys in contract years. The quote was stated from an anonymous player in the Mets clubhouse that, that's a hard thing to kind of go through because everyone's focused on themselves. I'm sorry, but miss me with that bullshit, okay? I appreciate the quotes and everything, but talk about like a bunch of guys that clearly don't know how to properly lead whatsoever. I mean, are you kidding me? Oh, we're going to focus on ourselves because we're in a walk year or we're a rookie or because we're a veteran on the team. So any type of player on the roster has to be solely focused on themselves and can't do anything to build the team morale or come together as a group. Literally miss me with that nonsense. It's honestly one of the most bullshit quotes I've heard. And I don't care if it's coming from an active player right now. It doesn't change the fact that it's nonsense. We haven't heard these quotes in years past from Mets teams, even when they dealt with the same amount of turmoil on the roster, dealt with the same amount of change in a short period of time. Literally, this is just further reason as to why Mendoza was not the right man for the job, because one way or another it was hitting deaf ears. There was no proper accountability. And you have, guys like Sham and I out there, saying that, we're kind of in, we're in crazy times right now regarding the status of the club. Like, it's not good. Like, things are not good with the team morale. I get that, but why are we just gonna hang our head low? Most of you schmucks are on millions of dollars of contracts, okay? We're only gonna sympathize with your ass so much. I get you're human. I get this season has sucked, but buck the hell up, okay? You literally get paid such a bag to literally play a children's sport for a living, okay? I'm not gonna sit here and sympathize with you all year long, constantly, when we're the ones spending the dollars, the largest payroll not named the LA Dodgers, and then you still put up a dog shit product. Maybe get your head out of your ass, come together as a collective group, know they're getting paid good dollars more often than not, most of you guys in this team, and come together in unison like you did in 2024. Actually care a little bit. Take it day by day instead of this nonsense that, woe is me. Okay, yeah, miss me with that shit. That is such an example of the poor culture the New York Mets have built under David Stearns and Carlos Mendoza. That is not a mentality that should be warranted, that should be happening in this clubhouse, okay? And the fact that multiple players probably feel that way, and the fact that a player who was anonymous hesitated and paused when talking about, do the Mets hold themselves accountable? Is there a lack of leadership? He literally could not answer the effing question immediately, which that dead silence is all that you need to know. Okay, so that's my thoughts on that. I think it's absolute nonsense that we literally find ourselves in a position where you can have Joe Schmo, whoever it is, going down the laundry list of the 26 guys on the roster, and you can have some of these guys literally acting so doom and gloom. I get it. It's not fun going to work when you're not playing well. I completely get it. I don't enjoy doing this when you don't play well. And I'm in such a luxurious position. I literally talk about the effing team I literally talk about players for a living. Okay? I have no right to ever complain about that. I know I do at times. It's just because I get pissed off with the club. I'm very fortunate. Every day I wake up so grateful knowing the position I'm in. They need to have that effing mentality, okay? Especially when they're making big bags. Especially if you're making stupid big bags, okay? We don't give a rat's ass to an extent. We get the personal feelings. We get you're human. But for fuck's sake, buck the hell up. This is a New York market. If you can't handle it, you're not supposed to be here. So maybe that's why you're one of the few players or one of the multiple players that found yourself checking your phone a couple days ago to find out if you're going to be traded or not. It's almost like there's a reason why your ass is more than likely going to be traded or not. But maybe you could do yourself a favor and actually perform quality baseball. Maybe actually just come together as a group. Stop being selfish. Start being selfless. There's no I in team. And it's kind of annoying to say this kind of stuff because, again, these are grown men who make a lot of money. But at the end of the day, it is a child sport that they play. So when a child sport at times can come a childish mentality. And that's where you find people focusing more on themselves instead of the collective group. And that's where I hope Andy Green can do a far greater job in helping bring this club together, even if he's not going to be here as manager beyond this calendar season. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Furthermore, we have Jorge Polanco news. As you guys and gals can see here, breaking news. Jorge Polanco has began a rehab assignment in Syracuse tonight, everybody. So you know how Jorge Polanco has done like a million rehab assignments over the past calendar month and a half. He's been hurt literally since the season began, and he will be hurt the entire year. Well, yeah, that's what's happening. Jorge Polanco is beginning his rehab assignment. Hopefully the Mets can get him back soon. Luis Robert is fully sprinting and taking BP at Citi Field, so he should be beginning a rehab assignment soon. That's encouraging. Clay Holmes is already throwing everybody at Citi Field, and not just soft tossing. He's like actually throwing fairly hard. When I saw a clip of him throwing, it looked like he was throwing at least 65-70%, which was very encouraging. So the Mets look like they're getting their reinforcements back sooner than later. Some obviously may not come until after the All-Star break, obviously, but nonetheless, it's encouraging to see some of these things are actually now going to be happening. So, regarding all those key updates from Clay Holmes, who we know is so important to the club, even if the Mets are going to trade him, he brings a lot of trade value right there. From Jorge Polanco, who will be mainly DHing once he returns to the New York Mets, which is going to further box Mark Vientos having any playing time for the New York Mets once that happens. He might be outright DFA'd if he's not traded for something of anything. Then you're going to, if not Brad Beatty, obviously. So there is a world where Jorge Polanco, Luis Robert, these guys are both back with the New York Mets within the next 2 to 3 weeks, especially depending on if Robert starts his rehab assignment soon. Everything's trending upward for Luis. Like I said, he was doing full sprints at Citi Field the other day. He was taking BP. It's not a matter of if, but when he starts it. Jorge Polanco, according to Chelsea Jane there that we saw of SNY 48 hours ago, reported that Polanco, after running on the field, was limping in the Mets clubhouse. So, I don't know what the hell to expect with Polanco. He's going to have his flare-ups. He's going to have good days. He's going to have bad days, and he's not a guy the Mets can bank on much at all this season. So, Robert actually have more optimism with Polanco right now. Holmes, I'm dying to see back in this rotation, but obviously I'm almost dying to just see him perform so that way the Mets can more so maximize their trade value with him than anything else. But nonetheless, Mets fans, those are kind of the key updates there. Then we have this mother effer, you know exactly who he is, Eric Chavez, talking about David Stearns, trying to do his victory lap now. And I'll talk some remarks on it if need be, but like, I'm sorry, okay? Eric, you still were not the right guy for the job. It doesn't change the fact that David Stearns has... I agree with you, Eric. You look smarter now in the sense of where David Stearns has been at fault. I won't fault you there, but I just want you guys to hear Eric Chavez's remarks and come up with your own opinions.
So let me rephrase that. So Stearns decides to fire Mendoza. Why not the whole staff? Well, he's already used that bullet in the chamber, right? He's running out of bullets. This was inevitable. This was the next step. But Carlos wasn't the problem. I'm going to break this down. And I've said it before, right? None of the moves that he's made.
I just got to cut off Eric there. Oh, Mendy wasn't the problem. Shut up, Eric. Shut up. What is with everyone? Everyone on SNY's panel, everyone and their mother is making sure that there's not a single thing when it comes to accountability held against Carlos Mendoza. That man can do no wrong. Miss me with that bullshit. Literally miss me with that nonsense. Mendy was not supposed to be manager entering this season for a reason. Stop it. Both things can be true. David can construct a dog shit roster, and Mendy could be not the right manager for the club. Both things can be true. Nothing about Mendy is a rah-rah guy. There are aspects of him that clearly hit deaf ears constantly for every calendar year as Mets manager. So that quote alone, I don't give a shit that he worked with him every single day. That's probably why he's stating what he's saying. Just like how David Stearns is on the freaking verge of crying yesterday in the Mets presser. Where's the professionalism with this shit? Seriously, lock the hell in. It's the New York market. You can't handle it. There's no crying in baseball. I know I've cried talking about the Mets. I'm a complete hypocrite. I understand. Just let it fit my effing narrative right now, okay? My point here, though, is that, of course, you're going to have people who positively worked with Carlos Mendoza say, oh, Mendy did nothing wrong. Oh, Mendy couldn't hurt a fly. Oh, Mendy's just a perfect guy. Again, I have no ill will against Carlos Mendoza, but can we stop for one damn second? Stop acting like he's a saint where he could do no wrong. Stop acting like he was never at fault when it came to being manager. Both things can be true. He could be a terrible president right now, David Stearns, and the manager could also be not the right guy for the job. So let's start this, because Erica's going to go on his tangent here in a second and literally state how everything that David has essentially done since the start has been wrong, right? That includes the manager. That includes keeping you here as our fucking hitting coach. It's not just the players, it's also the personnel. It's not just one thing, it's the whole fucking shebang. Why is this so hard for people to wrap their heads around? All right, back to you, Eric. My God.
Or have worked out. They just haven't. I'm going to break this down on the next podcast, EC3 podcast. Don't miss it. It's going to be hard hitting. Carlos wasn't the problem. So the Met.
Got to check in my podcast. It's going to be hard hitting. Many was the problem. Many were like, just stupid. Just stupid. Even that face pisses me off. I'm sorry. And it's nothing personal against Eric, but like, I can't stand him. I literally can't. Just can't. Yesterday, this is how you know shit's changing at Citi Field, everybody. They're coming for David Stearns' head. A fan got thrown out at Citi Field yesterday for holding up a Fire Stearns sign, getting it taken away, then made a new one as if he was like on the side of the street saying, please, I'm homeless. And then he gets taken out, and then they do a Fire Stearns chant and give him an ovation as he leaves. Check this out.
No, but this is a key point now. They're going to remove it now.
So yeah, Mets fans obviously have had enough. First we had chants saying Pete Alonso 48 hours ago. Now we have Fire Stearns chants. So exactly what you would think would be happening is what's happening. Belligerent Wardy is the best for you. That's what I'm here for, Jimmy. Happy to have you in here. But before I get out of here, everybody, my final remarks on the evening are nice balanced win by the New York Mets. Feels like I can count on my hand the amount of times that has happened in this godforsaken season. We'll see how they do tomorrow in the series finale. It'll be a day game. I may not be live directly after the ball game tomorrow. I might just have a recap video on my phone. I'm really not sure yet. I have busy plans tomorrow with the fam, enjoying and looking forward to that for my Sunday to wrap up my weekend. But nonetheless, everybody, I hope you all have a tremendous rest of your night, day, evening, whenever you found yourself watching this. I appreciate you taking the time on this Saturday, Sunday, whenever you find yourself consuming this content. Hit that like and subscribe button on your way out. Help us get to 40,000 subscribers. Check out Prize Picks for all things amazing when it comes to the best daily projections and laps in the game today. Officially live in the state of New York. And check out SeatGeek, guys. Save some money on tickets. Whether it's a comedy show, a concert, World Cup tickets, you could do it for all things not named New York Mets, and you're still going to save some money, okay? My buddy Pat, who's at a game tonight with probably a nice little shouty, is at the Yankees-Red Sox. And was it today or yesterday? Either way, he used the promo code WARDY10 and he got some big ticks. So guys, save some dough. It's that easy. WARDY10 link down below. Love you all to death. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. And as always, no matter what, let's go Mets. Have a great night, guys. Let the